So today's episode is about a crazy woman. So she's in her 40s, she's 5'2", she's an Emirates stewardess. So one day she's in a plane, and the plane lands in Dhaka, Bangladesh, and she realizes that in this city, there's something along the lines of 50,000 slums and millions of people are living in poverty. Though she's going through these slums and she sees all of these kids with no place to live, bathing in muddy water, not having enough food to eat, and she decides she has to do something. So she decides she wants to raise money to help these kids. She ends up Googling how to raise money, and she finds an article about Mustafa Salameh, who, as you know, was a previous guest on this podcast, and she discovers that he had raised up to $4 million climbing Everest. And you somehow decided you were going to climb Everest.
Yeah, this is the dream.
How old were you?
I was 34.
Mustafa was a Palestinian refugee who chose to become a mountain climber, and he climbed all 7 of the tallest peaks on all 7 continents. So this inspires Maria, the stewardess, and she decides, well, I want to start climbing mountains. What she proceeds to do is not just climb mountains. She becomes one of the world's greatest athletes, holding 10 Guinness World Records. But she does all of this for one insane reason: to raise money to take kids out of the slums of Bangladesh and fund their education. So I'm so proud to bring Maria Conceição back on the Mindvalley podcast to share her incredible story and some profound lessons that you can learn from this insane story that you're about to hear. Get ready for an extreme dose of inspiration. Maria, welcome back to the Mindvalley podcast.
Thank you for having me.
So we're recording this in Tallinn, Estonia, and I understand that your boyfriend actually wanted to take a holiday in Phuket, a nice warm place, and you convinced him to come to Tallinn in the middle of winter when we have 4 hours of sunlight and -1 degree weather. What's going on there? Do you just like extreme pain?
No, I came here to advance. It was an opportunity to come here and meet people. So next year I can go next level.
I see. Well, I'm glad to have you in Tallinn. And while you're here, I wanted to use this opportunity to get you on the show. So you've broken so many incredible records. Let me read it out, okay? So this is directly from Maria's website. Fastest time to complete an Ironman triathlon. Fastest simulated distance climbed on a ladder machine in 1 hour by a female. That's a recent record, right?
Yes.
What was the distance? Do you remember?
Nearly double Burj Khalifa in 1 hour.
Damn. Twice the Burj Khalifa in 1 hour. Okay, fastest aggregate time to run a marathon and ultramarathon on each continent. Fastest time to run a marathon and ultramarathon on each continent. Fastest aggregate time to run an ultramarathon on each continent. So aggregate is the if you add up the times of all the different runs. So that's 7 marathons, 7 continents, right? Mm-hmm. And we go on and on. Most consecutive days running an official ultramarathon. 6 Ironmans in 6 continents. First Portuguese woman to summit Mount Everest. First Portuguese woman to the North Pole and South Pole. And not only that, but you've won a string of awards. For example, Emirates Humanitarian Women of the Year. But you did all of this simply because you wanted to fund the education of these 600 kids. So let's start with that story. You were an Emirates stewardess. The plane landed in Dhaka, Bangladesh, and you went to visit the slums of Bangladesh. What did you see that stirred your heart in such a way?
More than seeing the poverty, all I could see was so much potential going down to waste. People, when they go to third world countries, they only see the poverty. But all I could see was so many kids with so much potential that would go to waste if no one did something to help them. I always thought I came from a very poor background,
right.
myself, humble background. But I didn't know the meaning of poverty until I went to Bangladesh. I couldn't believe that 4 hours away from where I was living, people, they could actually live that way. So I just wanted to do something. I thought it was horrible that human beings, they could live like this.
But you grew up in poverty yourself.
I know, but I felt so privileged when I went to Bangladesh. I thought, oh my God, thank God for everything I had and didn't have.
But you grew up in poverty yourself. Tell us about that.
So I was abandoned when I was 2 years old, and I was taken care of by a poor refugee woman from Angola. She was illiterate. She was a widow. She had 6 kids of her own. And when she didn't hesitate to offer help. So she was a part-time cleaner. She earned her living by being a cleaner. But it's not like a cleaner now. These days you have a full-time job, you know exactly where is your paycheck is going to come from? She didn't. She was a freelance cleaner, so she never knew. She lived day by day. Yet she didn't hesitate to offer help. So I became her seventh child. She used to say, when the social services, they used to come to take me away from her and put me in an orphanage. She used to say, who feeds six, feeds seven. Where six children they feed 7. So I became her seventh child.
So she had 6 kids of her own.
Six kids of her
This
own.
was in Portugal?
In Portugal.
Wow.
So the war broke in Angola. So
Yeah.
she came to Portugal because she was married with a Portuguese gentleman.
I see.
Unfortunately, he died before she could get the status as her documents.
Right, yeah.
So
So she was a
lived on-
refugee.
She was a refugee. She was living.
And what happened to you that made you, as a 2-year-old child, that put you in poverty?
I'm the daughter of a single mom. We don't know what happened. Only the daughter.
You lost your mother.
I lost my mother my first mother. I lost her when I was 2 years old.
Yeah.
She showed up in this village. She met Christina, this poor refugee woman from
Right.
Angola. She shared her struggles with her. And she told her she was struggling. She couldn't find a job. And it was hard with a 2-year-old.
I see.
So Christina offered help.
Wow. And your mother disappeared.
And my mother left to Lisbon, 6-7 hours away from the village.
I see.
And she never showed up.
Are you still connected to your mother?
Which one?
Your biological mother.
So when I was 22 years old, she left my birth certificate with Christina.
I see.
So I went to the place where you make the birth certificate.
Yeah.
And I found the address and I went to meet my mother.
So you have met your mother.
I met my mom when I was 22 years old. I met her in an old people's home.
I see. Was she proud of you? Could she
She
remember?
completely lost memory.
I see.
So the doctors, they seem to think that is not diagnosed. She didn't have Alzheimer's or
Right.
dementia. They seem to think that she was victim of domestic abuse.
Wow.
And she was beaten up so badly to the point that she completely faced amnesia.
She cut everything out. And so Christina, this poor refugee woman, raised you.
She raised me.
And at one point, I understand that you were so poor, you were a toilet cleaner.
So she raised me up to when I was 9 years old. Then Christina passed away of a sudden heart attack. Before she passed away, she asked her older daughters and sisters to take care of
Yeah.
me. So from the age of 12, I stopped going to school. And pretty much from that point onwards, I was told the only thing I could expect in life was to be a cleaner. So when I was 18, I left Portugal. And what is the jobs there for a girl who left school when she was 12 years old,
Right.
being a cleaner? So I did all sorts. I was working in a pub, cleaning toilets. When you're an immigrant in another country, you do anything that pays the bills, right?
As a teenager, you were cleaning toilets to survive. How did you go from that to joining Emirates Airlines?
So I moved to UK. I was working in UK, and then I was always looking for better opportunities. I went to the job center looking for a job, 9 to 5. And then the gentleman at the job center, they told me Emirates Airlines was recruiting and I would be a suitable candidate. Actually, he sent my application. And then
see.
I was invited for a job interview. I went for the job interview. There was 100 candidates. And I was thinking, how can I stand out?
Right.
Because there is 100 candidates, and it was is a very intense recruitment process. So I went to Benetton, and I got the suit that he resembled. I thought the only way I can pass this job interview is by going to this job interview, not as I'm looking for a job, as I am already a cabin crew myself. So I went for the job interview. I
Right.
had the suit that he resembles as an Emirates cabin crew. And I did the makeup. I learned everything, A to Z. And I passed the job interview. There was 100 candidates, only 2 of us, we got the job.
Wow, that's incredible.
And I was one of.
And it was that experience working for Emirates Airlines that's caused you to go on this incredible journey.
My Emirates completely changed my life. When I got the job, Vishen, it was like I won the lottery. I couldn't believe I was being paid to travel to all these amazing destinations, Seychelles, Maldives, Mauritius, living a life.
How old were you?
I was 26 years old.
I see.
I really, truly thought I couldn't believe. I felt like I really, truly won the lottery.
Now, as you started on this journey to break records, to pull these kids out of poverty, it wasn't always easy. And I know your story, and there was a moment when you were $200,000 in debt. You'd given everything you had to help these kids, and you were $200,000 in debt. And something happened, a near miracle. Tell us that story.
So I was looking for solutions. I went on Google. I always go to Google for solutions. And I typed, and I came across that if I swam from England to France, I could make a lot of money by getting endorsements and sponsorships. So I signed up to swim across the English Channel. 3 things that you have to do when you swim the English Channel. You have to sign up with the Channel Swimming Association, tick the list. You have to find a pilot to escort you. I've done it. And then you have to get a medical certificate to say that you're fit to swim across the English Channel. So I went to the doctor, I got my medical certificate. And then obviously you have to start training. But there was just a tiny little problem. I didn't know how to swim when I signed up to do all this. But why would it be a challenge? Why would not being knowing how to swim being an obstacle to swim across the English Channel? So I just thought, a lawyer is not a lawyer when he's born. IT guy is not a doctor is not a doctor, and certainly no one learned how to swim when they were born. So I just thought, what do people they need to do to learn how to swim? They find a swimming coach. So I found Kevin Miledick, a lovely American swimming coach. So I went to him to teach me how to swim. I have to be honest, I totally underestimated how technical and how difficult it was going to go to learn how to swim. So I started swimming. I started by learning how to float in the water. Then I started learning my 25 meters, 100 meters. So I kept going. 3 months later, Kevin sits me down and he told me, Maria, I have taught you everything there is about swimming and you're still not moving in the water. I went home and I cried. And Kevin thought he will never see me again and that I was going to cancel to swimming across the English Channel. But canceling the swimming was not an option because I needed the money. So I went back to Kevin and Kevin told me, Maria, I'd always thought after the last chat we had, I was never going to see you again. Most swimmers, after the talk I had with you, they would not come back. They would just give up. I don't know how long it's going to take me to teach you how to swim, but I'm going to teach you how to swim. So we kept training. And then finally one day he tells me, Maria, you're ready for swimming on an open water. Because up to that point, we were all doing all my training on a 25-meter pool. And I did what I do always. I registered for my first race. I went to the race with Shuli, one of our 15-year-old kids, one of the first kids joining the project. She was living in Dubai studying at the time, and my boyfriend. They came to support me and to give me a lift. I started to swim. Oh, Vishen, I was so excited. Butterflies, I put my hat, my goggles, and I started swimming, my first swimming in a sea. And I'm swimming, and I don't see anybody.
So this was the English Channel?
No, this was in Dubai, my first race on
This was in Dubai, okay.
In Dubai. So I thought to myself, oh my God, I'm such a gifted open water swimming. I'm gonna even win this first race. And when and meanwhile, on the shore, my partner, he tells, Shuli, look, there goes Maria. And Shuli said, there is so many swimmers. How do you know it's Maria? Because he's the only swimmer swimming the wrong direction. You see, when you swim in a pool, there is a black line, and you just follow the black line. When you swim on open water, there is no. So I was zigzagging. So I finished the swim, and they were laughing at me. How is she going to swim the English Channel? She cannot even go the right direction. And I told myself, how I'm going to swim the English Channel? I'm going to swim the English Channel 1 day at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 minute at a time, 1 second at a time. And they were making fun. But I never stopped believing that I could. So 1 year later, finally, eventually 31st of August, 2016, I'm ready to swim across the English Channel. The day came. And it was really important that I swim across the English Channel because I woke up that morning and I had emails from the school saying if I didn't pay the school debts, they were going to take me to court.
Wow. So this was from a school. And how many kids' education were you funding?
At the time, I had 200 kids in that school.
So if you didn't swim the English Channel, if you failed, 200 kids that you supported were going to be kicked out of school.
And they were going to be forced into child labor.
Because they'd be going back to the slums. Where was the school? In Bangladesh?
In Bangladesh. And they would be forced to the girls, they would definitely be forced to get married with someone 2-3 times their age.
So these 13-year-old girls would have been forced into marriage.
10, 12, 13-year-old.
So let me get this straight. You had to swim the English Channel. Because if you didn't swim the English Channel, these 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old girls, 200 people, 200 kids that you supported, were going to be kicked out of school because you were paying for all of their education. They would have to go back to the slums, and they were going to be forced into marriage. The girls, at least, were going to be forced into marriage to men in their 30s and 40s as child brides.
This is how it is, and this is what's happening
That
in the
is
slums of
an
Bangladesh.
insane amount of pressure. I can't imagine anyone going through that intensity.
That is my day-to-day life, every single day, every single hour, every single minute, every single second. The last 18 and a half years, Vishen.
So let's go on to that moment, attempting to swim the English Channel.
So I started to swim, everything was going well. It was a beautiful day, but unfortunately I underestimated currents. So I swam 7 hours, 15 kilometers, and 7 hours later, the pilot told me the currents, they were shifting me to a different, so they aborted the swim. It was horrible. When I came back on a boat, I start crying because I knew then, now how am I going to go home?
How close were you? You swam?
I was halfway.
Halfway there, so it's around 30 kilometers?
Yes.
And you had swum
15
kilometers.
Tide
Wow.
assisted.
Right. And then they had to abort the swim because you were moving in the wrong direction.
I was moving in the wrong direction and I thought it was not safe.
Yeah.
They thought I would never.
So they pulled you out of the boat, and as you get in the boat, you realize that these 200 kids, you failed them. They're going to be cast out of school. Tell us what happened.
I just thought that I had failed the kids, I had failed the parents, I had failed the sponsors that they supported me during that 1 year of training. And I just cried like they all had died, So when I got home, I thought I have to roll up the sleeves, and I couldn't believe. Meanwhile, the time that I got home, it seemed that it was a failure on paper actually had been one of my biggest successes in life.
How so?
Because Portugal was on the Portuguese radio was treating my swim as a national emergency. I didn't know while I was swimming these 7 hours, they were texting my boyfriend, but the Wi-Fi was not working, telling him, please tell Maria to stop swimming. We will support her. We will pay the school fees of the kids for her to tell her to stop swimming.
So the people of Portugal were like tuned in to this entire event on radio.
During 7 hours.
For 7 hours.
They were following me. I think they were just following me because they really thought I was going to drown.
Right.
And that morning when I left for to swim, I had 500 followers.
Right.
When I came home, I couldn't believe it. I had 12,000 followers, and these 12,000 followers each invested, and he paid he paid all the school debts.
Wow. So think about that. That's incredible. So these 12,000 followers on Instagram from Portugal who were cheering on for Maria, they banded together and put up $200,000 to fund the education of these girls.
And then I won GQ Woman of the Year awards. Normally, actually,
you won GQ Woman of the Year.
I didn't know GQ was following my whole story about me. So they were following all the swim, and they had planned when I swam successfully. I swam across the English Channel. They were going to give me the award. Normally, they give the award to a man.
Right.
But that year, they decided they were going to give it to me. So the editor and the GQ staff, they were following the swim. And then when they saw that the swim had been aborted and cancelled, they thought, we have to give the award to someone else because she didn't make it. And then the editor, José Santana, said, no, we have to give it to her. She learned how to swim to help these kids. She made it.
Right.
Either she made it so they decided to give me the award, the first time that they gave an award that is supposed to be to a man, to a woman. And that really gave me a big lifeline in 2016.
That's incredible. So what did you learn from that experience?
What I learned with the English Channel is keep swimming. Even if you're going the wrong direction, keep swimming, because the tides, they will eventually change. If the pilot had not aborted my swim, the tide would eventually take me the right direction. So just keep swimming, because eventually the tide will change in your favor.
That's a beautiful message. Keep swimming, because even if the tide is going in the wrong direction, the tide will eventually change.
In your favor.
I love that. That's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful message. What I like about you and what I appreciate about you, Maria, is that I know so many people who are breaking Guinness records. I know so many people who have done incredible feats of endurance, David Goggins type people, mountain climbers like Mustafa, Salamir. All of these are incredible individuals. But what's curious about you is a lot of the other people who are achieving records are doing it for, I don't want to say for themselves, it sounds selfish. They're doing it because they want to push themselves to the limit, which I think is a noble act. But you are doing it for a different cause. You're doing it almost because you are so determined to help these kids graduate, to help these kids get to university. And that's something that I find just so awe-inspiring. In fact, you're one of the most modest people I know. You rarely talk about yourself. You only recently started coming out when I started pulling you out of the shadows and putting you on stage. But I think it's just so inspiring to meet someone who is showing the rest of us just how much our bodies can endure, just how much the human mind can be focused on a target. But you're doing it not for self-gratification, not for awards. You're doing it because these kids need you to do it.
No child should be forced to get married at the age of 10, 11, 12.
And no child should be deprived of an education.
No child should be deprived from an education.
How many kids have you thus currently put through?
600 children.
All the way through college?
Not yet, no. We have 35 kids in college.
In university,
In
and the
university,
rest are going through high school?
Going through high school.
Wow, and I understand that many of these kids are going to universities now in Emirates, in Portugal, in incredible places.
Dubai, Portugal. We had them on the Erasmus project, going to France and Italy for a university, Australia, USA.
So for the audience that's watching out there, I know so many people are inspired by your story and so many people want to help. When we had our last Mindvalley event in Estonia, we raised close to $50,000, and that $50,000 helped how many kids come out of the slums?
I have brought so far 22 kids.
So from the $50,000 that the Mindvalley community raised, we got 22 kids out of the slum.
Out of the slums.
Now imagine that. That's almost like $2,200 or so per child. For $2,200, you're taking a human being out of a slum and transforming their life. And if you can, roll this clip of some of the kids who were on stage and listen to what they say.
Currently, I'm doing my bachelor in chemical engineering in Portugal. In 2006, my father got separated from us, and I saw my single mom suffering with 4 kids. And then in 2007, we met her, blessing for us. And she gave us all the basic needs we need, and education, the most important thing. And with her help, I managed to complete my 12th grade, and also my siblings, my 2 sisters and 1 brother. And in 2020, I went to Dubai with her help. And then I got internship in Chanel, luxurious fashion brand.
Hello everyone, Tere. I am Chadni, and my mother got married at the age of 11, and now I'm 17. I will be 17 on October. I'm not married, have no kids, and I'm studying hard to have my dream comes true. I want to be a dentist.
So I completed my grade 12 from Bangladesh, and then currently I am living in Dubai and working in a fashion company, and everything came to possible because of Mom Maria.
That's incredibly inspiring. And so for the audience out there that might want to help, what can they do to help these kids in their education?
Just book me as a paid speaker on your next event.
Right. So that's a really good opportunity. So I was talking to Maria, and I was telling Maria that, listen, you've raised money breaking records, but Maria is too humble. You're way too humble. Even to put you on stage, the first time I put you on stage, you refused. But when I did put Maria on stage at Mindvalley Live in Dubai in front of 2,000 people, she was voted best speaker. She actually got the highest ratings as a speaker. Then I brought you to Estonia, and we sponsored how many kids to come to Estonia
students.
As well? Yeah. We put in around 20 grand to bring 10 kids to attend Mindvalley University in Estonia. We put you on stage. And again, Maria was one of the highest rated speakers at all of Mindvalley University. Every time this woman is on stage, she just inspires people. Don't let her humility fool you. So one of the things I think you can do if you're enjoying this episode, if you're looking for a really great speaker, book Maria. And how can they book you? What is your Instagram?
Maria True Grit.
Maria True Grit. Okay? TRUGRIT. True Grit. Go check it out. Book her as a speaker. I've seen this for real. The money that Maria makes speaking goes straight to the education of these kids. We have visited her home, we have met the kids in Dubai, and it's just amazing to see what this woman is doing. Okay, so now you know how you can help. Maria, I want to go back to your story. When you first got on Google, right, and read about how athletes were raising sponsorship money by doing these feats of endurance, what made you think you could do it?
Why wouldn't I be able to do it? If other people, they've done it, why couldn't I do it? So I just thought, what does an athlete has to do to be an athlete? What would they do? They get a personal trainer, they get a program, and they follow that program every day, every single day, every hour, every minute, every second. And they have a timeline when they have to achieve that goal. So I did that the same. But the way I did differently. Okay, I want to climb Everest. This is the date. Then I get a personal trainer, and then I train every single day, every single hour, every single minute, every single second.
That's dedication. How many hours a day were you training?
For Everest, I was training up to 6 hours a day.
6 hours a day. So Everest was your first attempt.
I've made it. I was so lucky to weather. The force was with me, so I made it on the first attempt. I did North Pole first.
So your first big feat was the North Pole.
My first was the North Pole.
And you got a Guinness record for that?
Just the first Portuguese woman to do it.
How much did you raise?
I didn't raise the money. However, I got a scholarship for 5 kids from Bangladesh to come to Dubai and stay in UAE until they were 18 years old. All expenses paid.
Right.
$2.7 million worth.
That's
2.7 million dirhams worth.
So you skied to the North Pole, and that allowed you to take 5 kids out of poverty. Okay, and then what was the second Guinness record, the second feat?
And then the second, I thought, okay, that helped the 5 kids,
Right.
but there is the 595
Right.
in Dhaka. So I went to Google, and Google said, if I went to the Everest, and I couldn't believe it. Up to that point, in 2012, only 2 Portuguese citizens, male, they had done.
No Portuguese woman had
No
scaled
Portuguese
Everest.
woman.
And you became the first.
So I became the first one.
How much did you raise from that?
We didn't raise the money.
Why?
Because at the time, Portugal was everyone was talking about Greece was bankrupted, but Portugal was going through such a severe recession. So
you climbed Everest and you didn't raise any
didn't
money?
make it. Actually, we had to completely shut down the entire organization, Vishen. We
Wow.
closed down the nursery, the daycare center, preschool, primary school. It was the hardest time of my life.
So that's so sad, but how did you bounce back from that?
So I bounced back. So someone told me, Maria, when you were thinking about climbing Everest, you were thinking too small. You know, you should do something, because you were just targeting Portugal. Portugal is a small country with 10 million people. You have to do something worldwide. This is where the idea of running the 7 marathons in 7 days in 7 continents in the shortest time possible came up.
And you are the female record holder for that.
I'm the female record holder.
That's insane.
However, you know, I was, when I started, I contacted
Nike?
Nike, and I asked them to become my sponsor. So they sent me a personal trainer. So when I started training, basically I was such a bad runner. So bad that 2-3 weeks later,
You got fired by your trainer.
they quit me. They quit. I was so angry, Vishen. I was actually so angry because he said there was no runner inside me. I thought, no one tells me what I can do or not do. Only myself I can say that. I will find... How can you tell me what I'm able to do or not to do, right?
Wow.
There is a runner inside me. I just thought, who is wrong? He's him. It's the coach that is wrong. It's you. You cannot transform me into a runner. I can become a runner if I find a coach that he can take that out of me. Like you're trying to transform me into this amazing speaker, right? So I kept Googling on internet to find a personal trainer who could transform me into a runner.
And after the Nike coach fired you, saying you would never be a runner, did you find the next trainer?
I found the next trainer, and we started training. Vishen. My races, when I started registering to go running on the weekends, I was always the last. You know, when you start something, you suck at it.
Right.
You're really bad at it. I was so bad. When I was finishing, There was no finish line because I was so slow. I had to.
They had removed the finishing
So
line.
they already removed. They're packing everything. So I didn't think, oh, this is not for me.
Yeah.
I thought, no, my next goal is next race. I'm gonna finish within the cutoff time. Then I thought, okay, now I finished within the cutoff time. My next goal is I'm gonna be the second last to finish the race.
Wow.
And then-
Okay. That's
and then-
insane.
And then I thought, okay, I'm the second last. Now I'm gonna do better. I'm gonna be the third last.
So you just embrace your suckiness, and then you set a slightly higher goal, slightly higher goal.
And what is very important, do not listen to people that they make you feel that you're really bad.
Uh-huh.
You know, don't say, okay, I finished last, or I finished the last 10 or the last 20. Always my goal was, next time I'm gonna do a bit better, 1 minute better. And 1 year later, believe it or not only I finished the 7 continents in the shortest time possible, I broke 2 Guinness World Records, female category.
1 year later.
Only because I never stopped believing in myself. Even when people, they were making fun, I never stopped believing in myself. Even in the worst times, even when I had injuries, I never stopped believing in myself. Even when the personal trainers, they thought, I was not gonna make it.
So 1 year later, from being fired by that coach that Nike provided you, you broke 2 Guinness
World
records for feats of endurance running.
Yes.
Just from setting that goal to be less and less and less sucky as a runner. How many practice marathons did you run?
Oh, I think I did 48
48 practice marathons
48.
before you did 7 marathons in 7 continents in 7 days.
half marathons and marathons, yes. 48.
Wow, Maria. There's something about you which I find very curious. You seem to be probably one of the grittiest, and that's why I guess your Instagram title is True Grit. You have levels of grit that I've never seen in another human being. Like, I can't imagine someone being cast the shitty cards that you got in life, being abandoned by your mother when you were 2 years old, being forced out of school when you were 12 because you were in poverty, being a toilet cleaner, being told you were worthless, and then climbing up to become an Emirates stewardess, and then achieving everything else that you did, swimming the English Channel when you didn't know how to swim, setting Guinness records for ultra marathons when you were told by a trainer that you had not a runner in you. Like, it's just, I've never seen that. Where does that come from? It seems that your level of self-belief is beyond anything else I've seen.
I'm just very good at, if I fail today, I'll still try tomorrow. Even if people, they're mocking of me, I still believe I will do it. Time will pass anyway. It's just a matter of time, right? I can be bad today, but we are bad in anything. When you're beginning, what you're doing, you will be bad at it in the beginning. But if you repeat, if you are consistent every day, every hour, every minute, every second, you do something towards getting better, you will get better anyway. And the time is just a matter of time, Vishen. Okay, I'll give you another example. I left school when I was 12.
Right.
So I went back to school. I went to Harvard Business School.
You can't say that? Why?
I don't know, I have never mentioned. So I was invited to do a speech at Harvard Alumni in Dubai. They invited me to do a speech. And then after I finished the speech, they told me, I should go to Harvard and apply to do a leadership course.
Right.
So I applied for the leadership course, and I couldn't believe I was accepted. So I thought it was just, so I had to see. So I went to Harvard for 9 months. It was a very special moment for me.
Was this online or you were in Boston?
I was in Boston.
You got
So I had to go 3 times. I had to go.
That's
It
incredible.
was online, and 3 times I had to go.
So
They
the
went
little
over
girl who had to drop out of school at the age of 12 to become a toilet cleaner ends up going to Harvard.
And they have told me I should go for a master's degree, but I have postponed it.
Why?
For the last 3 years.
Why?
I want to secure the future of my kids first.
You want to secure the future of your kids. I love that. Do you think that putting so much for these kids, because when I met you, Maria, so here's the story. When I met Maria, she had nothing. Like, the electricity in your apartment was being turned off because you were spending everything. You were giving everything to the kids. You didn't have clothing for yourself. And at a certain point, you had children and their families, You were sharing your apartment with them. How many people did you have living in your tiny little apartment in Dubai with you?
At the moment, 15.
Right now, you have 15 people living in your
in
apartment.
3-bedroom apartment.
Wow,
I have
15
given
people.
everything I had and didn't have.
I
Because
see.
the most important thing for me is these kids.
So you're sharing an apartment right now with 15 kids.
15 girls
15 girls. Wow, from Bangladesh.
from Bangladesh.
What is that like?
Very noisy, very hectic, a very crazy house, madhouse.
I see.
Madhouse with the girls, madhouse with the cats because we rescue cats as well.
Right. And you know, I've seen so many people from the Mindvalley community come and support myself and Bianca, who is the co-host of some of our earlier podcast episodes. We took you shopping at Zara and got you a whole new wardrobe for speaking. Jimmy Narain, who's an author at Mindvalley, he's also been a guest in this podcast. I remember him and I took the kids for ice cream in the park, and those little things help. Is there anything else here that you would love to see our community help the children with?
Just become a member, a mentor.
A mentor?
Mentor.
How does one become a mentor for these kids?
Just contact me through Instagram.
Through Instagram?
You know, help me finding, now they're transitioning from finishing school.
Right.
They are disconnected from the employment world, so I'm trying to get them into the employment world, trying to find them full-time jobs for those ones they don't
So you're looking for internships for these kids?
internships, full-time jobs, and some of them they want to go to university.
Yeah. So that's really good. So if you happen to be in the Emirates, and if you happen to have an internship, or if you happen to be looking for a really good young person to join your company, please reach out to Maria. I mean, these kids, I've met them. These kids are incredible. The hardships that they have had to overcome make them such incredible people. I remember, so there's a study by Google, and Google said that it found that its best employees were not people with STEM degrees, science, technology, engineering, and math. Rather, the best employees at Google were people who had gone through a traumatic or crisis experience in life, and as a result had emerged from that kinder, gentler, more compassionate, and with greater degrees of wisdom. And when I meet these kids, that's what I notice in them. So these are incredible people. How old are the kids that you're hoping to place at companies?
Between 18 to 22.
18 to 22, right? So they are still going to college, but they're looking for part-time jobs and internships.
Yes.
Fantastic. So those of you in the Emirates, you know what to do. Reach out to Maria on Instagram at Maria True Grit. Do you have an email address that people can write to you?
maria@mariadaconceição.com.
What is your message for our community?
Yeah, my message to you, do not see obstacles in your life. Just see what solutions could potentially be. Do not be afraid of fail. You know, if the solution number A didn't work or B, go A, B, C, D, up to Z. Find a solution. Don't see the obstacle. Don't give up on your goals, your dreams. Doesn't matter how bad you are. If you're really bad at something, put the deaf ears,
Do you think growing up in poverty helps you with this degree of grit that you have? I think it does. Can I tell you my theory?
That is a good question.
Can I tell you my theory?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I was recently exploring some archaeological sites in Egypt with Robert Grant, the famous mathematician and cryptographer. And Robert's a genius, former CEO of Bosch and Loam, and one of the most brilliant minds I know. And so I casually asked him, Robert, what is the secret of manifesting? And Robert said, it's one thing: gratitude, just extreme gratitude, right? And I think many people who grow up in the West, I grew up in Malaysia, but I grew up, with in a household where my parents were with me. I had my grandparents there. We had cars. We had TV channels. Not like what Americans have, but still we had that. Most people who grow up like that, when we face a stupid or sucky situation, we complain and we whine, right? But people who grow up in extreme poverty, you're blessed just to have a roof over your head. You're blessed just that you can eat instant noodles for dinner versus nothing at all. And so you have greater degrees of gratitude. And I wonder if that could be one of the things that allowed you to manifest all of these things that you're doing, because you're ultimately this insane manifester. You freaking climbed Everest, you skied the North Pole, you did all of these 7 ultra marathons. You just climbed twice the height of the Burj Khalifa. And how old were you when you broke this record?
46 years old.
46 years old, and you're 5'2". You're approaching 50, and you are still breaking Guinness records. And I know you're not going to stop. But one thing I notice about you, Maria, is that the littlest thing you're grateful for. I take you out and the kids for ice cream, and you are so lit up, right? When you ran out of electricity, we had a couple of Mindvalley community members pay your electricity bill, and you had electricity back, and you were so grateful. And I see these kids, and they are so freaking grateful for every little thing. Yet the rest of us, we whine and we complain, right? We lose our Wi-Fi. We can't get on freaking Instagram. We complain. Someone at work is slightly rude to us. We whine about it. You've had people shut you down and push you down. You've been abandoned by your mom. You've had to freaking clean toilets as a teenager and leave school. Other teenagers are complaining about too much homework. You have levels of gratitude and joy and just being grateful for the present at a level I've not seen in other people. And that's my theory on why you have so much damn grit.
Thank you.
And that's what I find inspiring about you. And when I see those kids, when you see the pictures of how they grew up, like not having running water, not being able to bathe, when you see that, you can't help but feel gratitude. Tell us the story about the swimming pool.
Oh, the swimming pool. So in Bangladesh, when you live in the slums, there is no toilets. So they have shower in a ponds. So I brought 8 girls to Dubai with their mothers. And every day they were telling me, Mom, they call me Mom because I've been with them for 18 and a half years. Mom, we're going to go to the pool. And I was so proud of my kids because they are teenagers. I was so proud, you know. I got them a swimming coach, and I thought every day they were going to the swimming pool on the roof of my house, doing the drills to become better swimmers. So I was so happy they were not on they were not on YouTube. They were not on social media like most teenagers they do. And I was like, maybe, just maybe, I'm an inspiration. I'm inspiring my kids. 1 month later, the security guard comes, knocks on my door, and he tells me, can you please ask your children and the mothers to stop having shower in the pool? Imagine, for 1 month, imagine you work very hard during the week and you're sunbathing on the 22nd floor, and these 8 Bangladeshi children with their 5 mothers, they come to the pool with their clothes on, with their Indian clothes on, and they start to shower with soap inside of the pool. So 1 month later, so they couldn't believe, the kids, they were like, wow, we found a pond in a 22nd floor and it's so clean. Yeah.
Because that's what they do. They bathe in a pond. I was with indigenous tribes in the Amazon, and that's how people bathe. You'd find a dirty little puddle in the Amazon, and that's how you would wash yourself. That's crazy, but it's also charming in a way. But it shows you how little these people had. And how much we have that we can be grateful for. I mean, just freaking having a shower with a shower head and warm water. And so thank you for reminding us of that.
You know, Vishen, we were born with nothing. A lot of my friends, they say, you give everything. You give all your money, you give your clothes. You know, like you had to take me shopping. My boyfriend gave up buying me clothes because he knows if he buys me clothes, when the kids, they come to Dubai, they need the clothes, I'll give it to them. My best friend...
You literally give the clothing off your back.
Oh, actually, my best friend had to take me shopping as well for underwear. Because Vishen, I was born with nothing.
Right.
But I still own most of it. And then when you go to another planet, what are you going to take? So...
It's comparisons, right? It's comparisons. You were born with nothing. No parents, nothing.
So now, if I have something, I have so much. You know,
exactly.
When I went to the slums in the beginning, and I didn't have money to put the food on a table and a roof over the heads of the girls, I started selling my furniture, because when you go to the slums, everything you have, is so much, and you look like I didn't need those things. So I sold everything. You know, I'll show you a picture of my house. And then my friends, they started to buy me furniture, because they would come to my house. How can you live like this, just with so little furniture. I just thought because the kids in Bangladesh, they need more than I need. But then they gave up, they stopped. And then if you buy me gifts, I'll end up giving it them as a thank you gesture, say to my doctor or to my supporters. So even my boyfriend now gave up. Now my boyfriend is very smart.
Well, you have an amazing boyfriend.
He always gives me things that he knows I cannot give, like training equipment for my Guinness World Records.
I love that.
I am very lucky.
Now, I want to talk about that for a moment. Boyfriends. You've mentioned that before your current boyfriend, you were dating other men who told you that you had to choose between them or saving the kids.
That is very easy. The kids will always come first. Vishen.
So you put men to the side.
I told my current boyfriend, do never ask me that.
Are you going to share his name publicly?
Saul.
Saul?
Saul, I'm really lucky. He
Yeah.
never put me in that situation that I had to choose over the kids or them.
Yeah, and I think that's an important lesson for all men as well. Don't make your woman choose you or her mission. That's just cruel.
Or what they want to do. Don't make women choose between them or their dreams or their goals.
What do you appreciate about Saul?
He never puts restrictions on me. I can tell him, baby, I'm going to go to England for 3 months for training. And he always supports me.
That's
He
beautiful.
will never put me restriction. I can tell him, baby, I'm going to go to USA now. I'm going to have to stay there maybe 9 months because I'm not going to, to not come back. And he will let me go. He doesn't put restrictions.
I love that. I love that.
And he has supported me for the last 10 years, Vishen. He has paid all my day-to-day bills. A lot of people, they say, how does Maria? Maybe Maria is using the money. No. My partner, for the last 10 years, he supported me all my day-to-day expenses. And even used to he gives me pocket money, so I don't feel
Right.
embarrassed, right? So he gives me pocket money that I have some money to use. I always spend it on the kids because it's more important. Yeah, so I'm really lucky.
So I want to ask you another question. So Emirates Airlines was a big part of your life. How long were you working for Emirates?
I worked in Emirates for 7 years.
7 years. Emirates,
years.
to me, is the best airline in the world. Like, I absolutely love Emirates. I have an apartment in Dubai. I fly to Dubai often. Emirates is just the best airline. What did you learn working as a stewardess at Emirates?
What I am today is because Emirates, they gave me that opportunity to come to UAE.
But what was that? What was that opportunity?
I met so many people. When I first started my organization, my project, I didn't know anything. Remember, all I knew was how to be the Ronaldo of the cleaning world.
Right.
So I learned. So everything that I know today, I learned with I learned with the other cabin crew from all around the world. I always ask questions. I don't talk much, but I listen.
Right.
So I learned so many from the cabin crew, from so many different countries. I learned with all my passengers, regardless they were economy passengers, business class passengers, or first class passengers. They are the ones that they helped me setting up this organization. I opened a daycare center. What do I know about opening a daycare center and a preschool, a primary school, a computer center, a dental center? I learned because I would go to my passengers. I would find out what they did on a day-to-day life, and they helped me.
Wow.
I learned everything I know from Google and from the passengers. And then Emirates, they taught you how incredible customer service skills. They teach me how to, I had to address a lot of first aid cases in the slums of Dhaka. Emirates taught me how to...
How to save a life.
How to save a life. You know how many second and third degree women I had in Bangladesh? I learned how to address these problems when they couldn't go to the hospital. I was the first responder.
I see.
And it was Emirates that they trained me.
You were mentioning to me once that, people underestimate stewardesses and stewards.
Yeah, they just see us as a chicken or beef, tea or coffee. We are so much more than that. A lot of us, we are graduated. We only are cabin crew because we want to see the world and travel for free. But they completely underestimate us. We are first responders. We are there for an emergency situation. We're going to be the ones who are going to save you if there is a problem. But there was never a problem on Emirates Airlines. I'm telling you, they are engineers, they're top class. They're doctors, they're just there because they want to see and travel to work for free. It's a very intense job. It's not glamorous. As glamorous. We work so hard.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing what you learn from being cabin crew, and also how talented cabin crew is. So you were speaking at a big Mindvalley event, and we had another speaker there, Tobias Beck, who got equally high ratings. Tobias Beck was former cabin crew of Lufthansa. Right. He was there for a really long time, working in cabin crew, seeing the world. And he went on to become one of the top speakers in Germany. So knowing you, knowing Tobias Beck, I have so much respect for everyone who's cabin crew, and no matter what airline you work for.
And we wear so many hats as a cabin crew.
Yeah.
It's not only as a waiter.
And the level
cleaner.
of empathy and compassion that you must have is incredible.
Thank you.
So Maria, I asked the audience on Instagram for some questions. And so let's look at some of the questions from the audience, okay? So Harvey, Food for Thought, asks, Maria, how do you maintain mental and emotional strength throughout? It's amazing.
During the races, when I break the challenge and my body is collapsing,
Right.
I normally give myself 1 minute to, okay, I'm gonna accept that I'm going through this pain. Or say when I went to the North Pole and I was or Denali and I was carrying 40 kilos. I thought, I'm not here alone. And I started to think, okay, I have 600 kids. So I would ask, okay, Shaheen, this is so heavy for me now. Can you carry this for mom? Shadni, can you carry? I'm really tired now. So I play tricks in my brain.
And I love the 1 minute rule. You give yourself 1 minute to feel that pain.
So I even told my boyfriend, during to alter Guinness World Records, there is a moment you really hit the wall. You're so tired, exhausted, in pain. So sometimes I give 1 minute break. I lay down and I have 1 minute break to digest all my pain, my suffering. And then
when the alarm goes off, you jump back up.
And then I think, it has.
Beautiful.
That's my secret.
Next question is from Amulya Lahane. Do you see only good in people? What if someone is bad intentionally?
I only see good in people until they give me a reason. Now only to good. You only see good there. I only see good. It's a tough question. I only see the goodness in people.
Yeah. I think you answered that well. Okay, the Nomad Escape asks, how can we as a community be involved in a charity like this? So we mentioned one, if you have a stage, book Maria. Don't ask her to speak for free. This woman is taking care of so many kids. Help sponsor her. What do you charge for a speech right now?
$10,000.
$10,000. I can tell you it's worth it. That's low. You can raise that. Maria has been voted best speaker, and this was on stage with me, with Jim Quick, with Lisa Nichols, with Marissa Pierre. When we put her on stage, and all of these are incredible names, but when we put Maria on stage at Mindvalley Live Dubai, she got the highest rating, and that was incredible. And of course, if you can offer these kids jobs, reach out to her on Instagram at Maria True Grit. And finally, this is from Kyra the Healer. What is your driving force of motivation?
My driving force, and I want to fulfill my dream, my goal.
What is that dream?
For me, is to secure. For me, is secure the future of my kids.
600? Do you want to go beyond 600?
At this stage, I'm only committed to do this 600, and I didn't realize it was going to take me 18 and a half years of my life. But then I have to say, I started. Let me secure. I'm a woman of my words. I promised them I was going to secure their future.
All the way to college.
So I have to honor that. I feel like I've been pretty much a one-woman band. I rely on people. They help me. They show up in my life, but pretty much a one-woman band. So
Will you ever stop? Will you ever decide after these 600 kids, do you think you're going to go, okay, it's time for Maria to get a break?
No. Recently I developed a new passion.
Which is?
With animals. So I want to combine both. I want to buy a villa where I bring single moms. Vishen, I always think if my mom had help, maybe she would not have to abandon me.
Her child, yeah.
So I wanted to open a villa, buy a villa where single moms, they can come there until we get them back in track. And then that same villa will have all the stray animals that they've been abandoned.
Wow, I love this. I love this. Thank you so much, Maria. Thank you all for tuning into this episode. Any closing words for the audience?
Don't give up on your dreams. Your dreams, they don't, a lot of people, they give up too soon. Dreams, they don't happen, not because it's not possible, it's just because people, they give up too soon. And it will be a very tough journey. It will be incredibly hard. But remember, the harder it is, you know, I don't know how to explain this. You know, when things they're really tough, that means you are going the right way. It's just like climbing Everest. The closer you are to get to the top of Everest, the harder
It gets.
It gets.
It means it's going the right way. I love that spin on it. I think you articulated it beautifully. Thank you, Maria. And thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you on the next episode of the Mindvalley Show. If you enjoyed this episode, I hope to see you at Mindvalley's next event. Maria will be speaking at a lot of our future events. You can learn more at mindvalley.com/events. I'll see you there.